me to just stay here? And I said, no. I said, well, where should I go? I said, go to open ice. I'm not going to handcuff you. Go find something. I said, it's like soccer. They don't kick the ball to where you are. They kick it to where you're supposed to go. It took him a second to actually figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
These kids are so regimented sometimes, it's unbelievable. They have to open up their floodgates of creativity, and I think they're challenged sometimes. With all these clinics where you have skill development and all that crap, there's nobody that teaches anybody about creativity, and they don't teach them about being a good teammate. Those are things that have been left behind.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with parents? You having some great street creds with your career, and you can see the parents that have a lot of money invested in their kids. Do you find that do they leave you alone because of who you are, or do you see it elsewhere that parents just need to dial it back and not bring a notebook to practice?
Well, they don't come to our practice, but I knock on wood, I have not had an issue with a parent this year regarding any topics of ice time or anything else. My door is open.
They can come and look at the gold medal anytime, right?
Well, but I don't do it that way. My door is open. Anytime a player, I've talked to a lot of the players. Players come in all the time and ask me, talk about how they can play better or things. My biggest message, and this was before the year started, my biggest message was this. You're at a school, Blake, you have an opportunity to take advantage of the academics. That trumps anything you will ever do on the ice. And if there's slippage in the academic side, then we will deal with the ice time. And don't forget that the school is the most important thing, and that is why you are at Blake. You're not at Blake to play hockey. And I don't have any idea if that resonated with the kids. I'm sure it resonated with some of the parents, but there are parents who feel that their kid is the best athlete in the 5-state area and that they should be getting all the ice time in the world. I haven't had those conversations with any of those parents yet.
That's fantastic. I bet your dad never went to a practice.
Like I said, he was so ticked off that I had to pay money for extra gear. He had to go pay money for shoulder pads. He was so mad he could, oh, God, he was mad.
Thank you for what you've done. Thank you for being part of that. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience. I sure am glad I got to see it, man. That was fantastic.
We enjoy sharing it anytime, my friend.
All right, I'll be in touch. Thank you, sir.
When you run into Buzzy, tell him Rookie said hi.
I will, for sure.
All right. Thanks, Rob.
You guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Play his goal one more time for me.
I knew you were going to ask for that.
Play his goal one more time. Through the 5-hole.
Christian there with him. Wells, who has lost his helmet, starts to skate out of his own end. Up ahead to Eric Strobel. Strobel then loses at center ice to Makitalo, taken away there by Baker. Baker in over the blue line. Shot in around the boards, back of the net. Saarinen losing it there. Johnson with it. Comes back to Christian at the point. Davey getting out in front. Backhands it. Swept aside in front. Johnson to McClanahan. He scores! Here's the replay.
That's
Art
fantastic.
Johnson got the puck behind the net.
That's just fantastic.
So what are you going to do for the rest of the podcast?
What I heard from him describing how he's handling the Blake team, I heard a guy who really learned a lot from Herbie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Really learned a lot through that whole Olympic experience. You know how many games they played leading up to the Olympics? 64.
64 games.
64 games.
Wow.
At what point did you start covering them playing?
Anytime they would have played here and then picked them up at Lake Placid.
Okay.
But they only played, of the 64, what they called home games, 8 home games.
I think I know the answer to this, but one of the things I'd have been curious about, and you were there, had they not gotten their rear ends handed to them by Russia, would they have beaten them the second time?
I would look at it from a different angle.
Okay.
I think Russia was too overly confident and too satisfied. Ooh. We had this was nothing. We got these guys 10-3 2 weeks ago.
This is a speed bump.
This is nothing here. That's how I would look at that game.
Okay.
So Herbie coached for the Stars this is afterwards, 87 to 88. Yeah. The Devils and the Penguins, and he only lasted a year at each team. Why do you suppose? I seem to remember.
I'm unaware that he coached for the Devils.
The 80.
Are you looking that up?
Yeah, the 87-88 team. I remember as being a losing season.
I think he was an assistant when he was with the Devils. Is that right?
Where he had his most NHL success was with the Rangers.
With the Rangers, but that was really early on.
Yeah.
And he gave him a lot of victories then. But I've always wondered why he only lasted a year at each one of those NHL cities.
Hockey, look at Boudreau just got fired after not even 3 complete seasons. Isn't it 3 complete? Yeah. I don't think so.
But was it
hockey grinds through coaches?
Well, my question was it the coaching style, and did it change, or was the NHL just wasn't ready or willing to be coached the way he wanted to coach him?
That's a very good observation. The NHL might not have been ready for Herbie. And unfortunately, he's not around for us to ask. I also didn't know Pavlich was McClanahan's roommate with the Rangers.
I didn't know that either.
Say thank you to Rob McClanahan. We'll be back.
Here's a man who spends hours in hardware stores, sifting through the nuts and bolts of life. Joe Soucheray.
Mayor, the earworm finally drove me to Schmelz. Schmelz Countryside Volkswagen in Maplewood. Last year I purchased an Accord elsewhere, and it's bored me for 12 months. A few weeks ago, the CP told me she agreed that the Honda was boring compared to my past VWs. Can I say that about Honda? Why not? It's not me. It's this emailer. Honda doesn't advertise with me.
You're reading the email.
This was definitely her way of begging me to get a new VW, right? Yes, Brant, you heard permission. On Feb 18, I delivered a beautiful GLI to my normally well-managed driveway. I love it, and the CP approved. I was impressed, and she noticed the exhaust, and her words were, "Does this car purr?" A wise purchase. Sincerely, a Gumption County citizen in District 5. And that's from Brant Engen. And he has enjoyed the Schmelz Countryside experience in Maplewood, the southeast quadrant of Highway 36 and 61. And he enjoyed that experience because they're a great dealership. It's a family dealership. We're in the 3rd generation. They don't own 15 other dealerships. This is it. If you want the best Volkswagens in town, Alfa Romeos and Fiats, Schmelz is the place to go. Please let them know when you enter the showroom that you've heard about them on the Garage Logic podcast. Alfa Romeo is having a Sign Then Drive performance event. They're clearing out Alfa Romeo 2019s. The 2020 Volkswagen Tiguan's are on the ground and ready for delivery. You want a nifty little car that'll get you through the sand, the Fiat 500X. And if you're in that German SUV market, please check out the Alfa Romeo Stelvio. Anything you want, they have it at Schmelz. Great service. Great service, great dealership, good people. SchmelzVW.com, SchmelzAlfaRomeo.com, SchmelzFiat.com. Here's John Haidt.
Thank you, Joe. Before we get to news, a traffic note. We do have the first major road construction-related closing on tap for the weekend. Part of the 35W south of downtown Minneapolis will be shut down Friday night to Saturday morning. I-35 south of downtown Minneapolis will shut down Friday night to Saturday morning. The northbound lanes of 35W between Crosstown Highway 62 and Interstate 94 will be closed from 10 p.m. Friday until 6 a.m. Saturday. The Department of Transportation will move a large crane and drill into that area between 40th and 42nd Streets, where the agency this summer will install 6 underground tanks as part of a drainage improvement project. MnDOT spending about $68 million to give stormwater that collects on the flood-prone freeway a place to run off. 2 drivers will be detoured. Yes, Chris?
Joe, I need to issue an apology before John continues his news. Last night we spoke, and I had asked the GLers for some memories and feedback, knowing that we were going to have Rob McClanahan on the show today. We didn't get to a single one, so I apologize, GLers.
That's all right.
But people were posting really cool things on Facebook and Twitter.
Thank goodness nobody brought up Patrick's very vile reaction to that.
They had a hot goalie.
Jeez, wow. What is the motivation behind that?
He was angry that he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Is that really it?
That's my take. That's my take.
And had they lost, he wouldn't have been mad that he wasn't there.
Right.
U.S. Representative Jim Hagedorn, 1st District Republican, announced he's been receiving treatment for cancer for the past year. Hagedorn said he was diagnosed with stage 4 kidney cancer on February 15th, 2019. He says he's received care at Mayo Clinic this past year. He said the cancer was detected during a routine physical, and he praised his doctors, nurses, and techs for his treatment. He said he's also happy to say he's been able to continue representing southern Minnesota, hasn't missed a vote due to his illness, and he said his illness will not stop him from running for re-election this year.
This guy's got kidney cancer, and he's doing his job more reliably than of the 20,000 Democrats running for president.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Becker Public Schools announcing schools were closed today due to that smoke from that fire we've been talking about at Northern Metals. According to a release from Becker Public Schools, a change in wind direction and information from various agencies led to the school's decision to close.
I swear, John, I went for a brief walk yesterday. I swear I could smell that.
You did.
I smelled a metallic sense in the air.
Yep,
yeah,
you did. It actually, to me, smelled like galvanized steel burning.
Something. I sensed it wasn't normal
but
air.
You're not the only one. A lot of people commenting on that.
Oh, thank you.
But now today the wind's blowing the other direction, so we're not here.
What are you smelling today? What's your taste?
Spring.
Okay.
Fellas, this is not Smell Radio.
This is not Smell
We
Radio.
don't do smell radio.
Was that Chicago?
Chicago Windler.
Chicago Windler.
Yep. Yeah. The Becker Schools release went on to say administrators recommend following directions of the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency and Minnesota Department of Health, which advises if you're near the fire, you should shelter in place.
Yeah.
Or move away from the source
I'd
of
get
the
the hell
smoke.
out of there and drive away.
Or move away from the source of the smoke is their other recommendation.
You know, when McClanahan was talking about taking Air Force One after winning the gold medal, I was trying to think of how the five of us would be, check this out, ladies.
Yeah, what's up? AF1.
We would have been like the crew on Reno 911 after they won the lottery with all the bling. That would have been us.
Do you think we all would have been like that, or just you two?
Probably just the two of us.
I think once I found out where all the little airline bottles of booze would be, you'd have a little pile over in 14C.
Where's Matthew?
He's back there.
I wonder what was that? Does anybody remember what that was like back in the Twin Cities? Reavers, you were only 2.
I was 2.
Rook, you were how
12.
old? 12. You remember that game being on TV?
Oh, yeah. I was 15, but living up in the sticks. And absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember watching it with my old man.
When did they run it locally,
Dakota,
Kenny?
So.
Well, it would have been. You have TVs in North Dakota?
We had TVs there, but I wasn't a
color
big
stuff?
hockey guy.
All right.
So I didn't.
Well, it was a big deal.
It was a big deal, yeah.
Because it was the Cold War.
It was a hated Russia.
Yeah.
So after
the wall
fact,
was still up in Berlin.
It was like we had won the war.
Right.
but I wouldn't have realized that until after the fact.
I think it's the
probably.
greatest American victory, not on a battlefield.
Wow. Kenny, what time did they play it
I'm
on tape
15. How the hell am I supposed
I
to
thought you
remember?
just said you watched
It
it.
started, I think, about 3 o'clock
Jesus
this time.
Christ, Reavers.
3 o'clock or 4
But they didn't
o'clock
carry
this
it
time.
live, I thought.
Yeah, it was tape
You got a
delayed.
tape delay on TV, I thought.
Well, then maybe here it was shown at 7 o'clock at night. I have no idea.
That's
I wasn't
what I've
here.
always understood.
Nailed it.
Good. Glad we nailed that down for everybody.
I can sound stupid enough on my own. I don't need you probing.
I'm sorry.
Jeez.
I always thought you liked the probing.
Whoa.
Hey, now.
Sorry. Roger Stone, the staunch ally of President Donald Trump, was sentenced to 40 months in prison Thursday for witness tampering and lying to Congress. Prosecutors initially, remember, had asked for 7 to 9 years in prison, but Attorney General William Barr retracted that recommendation hours after President Trump criticized it on Twitter for being too harsh. Instead, U.S. District Judge Amy Berman Jackson took Barr's recommendation of 40 months in sentencing the president's longtime friend. Stone's lawyers had asked for a sentence of probation, citing his age of 67 years, his health, and lack of criminal history. He was convicted in November on all 7 counts of an indictment that accused him of lying to Congress, tampering with a witness, and obstructing the House investigation into whether the presidential campaign coordinated with Russia to tip the 2016 election. The judge said Mr. Stone lied, injected himself smack into a political controversy, and was not persecuted, as his attorneys argued. The action in federal court comes amid the president's unrelenting defense of his longtime confidant. That's led to a mini-revolt inside the Justice Department and allegations the president has interfered in the case. Stone is the 6th Trump aide or advisor to be convicted of charges brought as part of the special counsel's investigation into Russian tampering in the election. Whoops, pardon me. I already read that story. Democratic presidential candidates turned on one another a bit last night in a scorching and personal term debate. with two of the leading candidates, Senators Bernie Sanders and Michael Bloomberg, forced into the defensive repeatedly throughout the evening. In his first appearance in a debate, Bloomberg, the former mayor